Okay, so we ended our last episode. We created this modal, and the problem is we now need to incorporate it into hypecp. So the first thing we're going to do is figure out where we want to put it. So, this is the main page for hypecp, and we've got these sort of examples in here already. We've started doing our essentials. So let's start with the sidebar. So we need to find a place for it. We've got these 4 essentials, and this modal is using those essentials. So this is kind of cool. This is going to be an example that's part of these essentials. So I think it will fit in nicely. It's going to be a large block of code, but let's open that page with our essentials here so that we can see. So here's our essentials page, and there's our sidebar. Let's give that just a little bit of extra space there to separate it from those 4 essentials. So I think what's going to happen is, each section maybe will have different ones. So we'll give examples a little space right there. We'll call it essentials examples because each section will probably have, these are the essentials examples. Using those 4 essentials, what can we build is kind of the concept. Okay, so now we've got to go and add it to the main page. And I think that's going to take a little bit of cleanup because, it's just kind of getting a little bit, it's getting a little bit messy here with some of these kind of like incomplete. Here's a typo. The following needs 2 L's here. There we go. Okay, so it's just getting a little bit messy having these kind of incomplete things. So let's clear that out first. Or at least remove them from here, maybe move them to the bottom or something like that. And yeah, you can see here, we've got these 4 things. We need to be able to click it to get to there. So I'm going to have to add that same thing. And we want to also number these. Right now, they have no number. So 1 is hxget, 2 is hxtrigger. We need to do the hxtarget as well. And then swap. So let's just start adding those. Copy our trigger. Those aren't even in here yet in our main part. So we've got our target, and then the last one, copy that whole thing. So we have like a blank thing there. We'll change that to swap as well. Okay. So, and then we'll have underneath our essentials examples. So now that should match, our sidebar should now match our main area. And when we click it, it takes us to the right spot. Okay, and looks like I used a 3 instead of a 4. There we go for the swap. Okay, so now we can start adding, our actual modal. And this is the modal's a little tricky because the other ones were just these tiny little snippets. This is actually going to have, a good chunk of code. So let's open that file and kind of see what we're dealing with here. So I just spent that whole video building it, and it was a mix of CSS and Tailwind. So I guess the first part is the style. So this is the style that kind of overrides all of the dialogue. So that's going to have to be in there. So that's fine. Let's line that up. And I think I have to maybe escape some of the... Oh, look at that. Okay. No, I do not need to escape anything. That actually looks pretty good. Okay, so next I think I'll just line this up so that we have, yep, that looks nice. So it fits in there well. It's easy to read. We've got that nice code, the highlight code package in there. Okay, but we also need to now get our other parts of this. So this is just a style. This is good to have in here, but we need our button. So the button is actually doing all the HTMX, like that's the heavy lifting for the HTMX here. Let's get that in, line it up. I don't know if we're going to need all that styling. That's a kind of a tough question. Not everybody's using Tailwind. And we already have our styling on this page. The purpose of this page is to keep it simple, so that this can be copied and then, whoever can style it however they want. But we already have a button style on this page, so let's just use that. Okay, Now we need the actual, there's no modal to open. So now we need to actually get that modal and add it to the page here. So now you can see, geez, like we've got lines that are going way off. Tailwind is, for all its wonderful things, it is very verbose sometimes, which is fine. It doesn't really matter. But when you're trying to do examples and show people stuff and you've got like a ton of extra, I can almost not see them because I'm used to classes just kind of fading into the background. But when you're trying to show an example and you're trying to get like code that people can copy and paste, unless it's specifically meant to be Tailwind code, and that's the purpose of it, it's like, oh, here's a Tailwind example, then it's probably a little much for some of this. So I may just clear out some of that code. We'll see. Some of it can stay in there, but it is a little bit much. Okay, so this is just the dialogue though. Oh, look at that. Okay. So because we have the route set up from the other thing, it actually already opens and loads. It looks like we have a little bit of spacing issues, but actually it looks pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it's got the blur in the background, the different buttons. The buttons all look the same, but that's okay. We have styled those buttons on the page to look a certain way for consistency. That's on purpose. Okay, so let's take a look at this form that it's loading into our modal. Can we turn off this? No hype doesn't work here. That's a separate project. Okay, you know what? I think we don't need all these classes in this. We're just going to have whatever the default button is on this page. And I think that's actually going to look fine. We'll keep the flex, we'll keep the justify, the item center. That stuff is all, probably necessary to make the layout make sense. But all of this stuff in the middle, we don't need that. That was all just, to show that a form could be a form, to show that we have a select, to show that we have an input. Instead, let's just show that it's dynamic. So we can put up here the date and the time. So this is just a server time. Nice. Okay, good. So we've got the server time. We've got the nice blur in the background. Let's make that sort of read like a sentence here. So today's date, what is F? Is F correct? No, F is nothing. Okay, must be capital F. These are just the PHP like date, things. Oh, there we go, Wednesday 29th. But we want to also say January, and let's separate that date, give it a nice bold here so that it's kind of stands out. I think F is the month. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, Wednesday, January 29th. Perfect. We're also going to want to add the time so that we can tell that, the server time is dynamic and it's actually getting the correct thing each time you click it. So that's one of my favorite ways to show the time. So it's like G:IA will be like 2:30 p.m. Okay, but that and S seconds didn't work at all. Maybe we'll just leave the seconds off. The time is 1:56 a.m. That's fine. Okay, I think that's good. Let's change the text so that it's just kind of makes the date actually pop a little more. Yeah, that looks nice. I kind of hate this my special editing modal. Don't like that. Let's make it, okay, modal example maybe. Dynamic modal example. Yeah, that's a little better. Dynamic modal example, nice, cancel. We've got the 3 buttons. I don't know if we need the 3 buttons. It can be useful, but I think people can figure out, how to add extra buttons probably. Yeah, also we have this, this code block is kind of large right now. So I don't know that we want to keep the code block like that. We're also going to have to show some way to show what kind of goes into there. Like what the response file is. So I haven't figured that out yet. And you can see it's just kind of, it works nicely when it's widescreen like that. That's fine. But I think one of the things we want to do is just kind of try to simplify this. So I think we're going to take out these buttons. So there's just one button that's like basically to close it. I actually want it over on the right. So maybe I'll bring back this other button here. No, I don't need 2. I don't really need a button on the left there, but it's like it needs it for the flex layout. That's no good. All right, we'll just do an empty div. That's a little bit of a hack, but that's okay. I'm gonna have to fix this whole thing. I'm gonna have to basically remove Tailwind. There's just no way around it because not everybody's using Tailwind. Maybe I have a Tailwind version and a non-Tailwind, but I don't think so. I think we'll just go straight, CSS. And then if people want to not use the CSS, they can use the Tailwind instead. But I'm not going to do that now. For now, all I was trying to do here, I just want to get this up on HypeCP and sort of show the way this is going to work, which is using the modal as an example of the essentials.